Hello, I'm in my 72 C20 Suburban. Today's episode is going to be about heater controls. I knew it was coming eventually that this would break, and today's the day. It broke. So there's very common in these things, and I know there's other like instructional videos out there, but I just wanted to throw together my experience now that I'm just starting, and I can kind of walk you through as I go and buy new parts. So what happens is the heater controlled brake. See this lever right here? You move these back and forth to control your defrost, fan, and heat. Well, the one in the middle was the fan, and I went to turn it on high, and I push it over here, and bam, it snaps off, comes off in my hand. Super common. The reason is because these arms are just pot metal, and they break over time. But the real cause isn't, these are weak, but it's usually because the cables they're pulling on are getting bound up. They're getting old too, and so you got to put more and more force. And you get in here and you go, come on, get up to defrost, and you'll snap it off. So they make rebuild kits for these things. I'm not going to rebuild it. I'm going to just buy one of the whole units. You can buy them all together, just the whole thing, just like this. And so that's what I'm going to do. Somebody else has already worked on this thing, put these screws in because it's fallen apart before. So I'm just going to buy a new one. But some tips for you here. First off, to get this out is pretty simple. There's just these two mounting screws on the bottom. You go up under here, take those out, push it out this way. Then when it comes down, you've got three cables that hang on to these lever arms, okay? Those cables are what control your heat, fan, and defrost. So for example, I'll get one here. This one, where does this go? This is on the one that, this controls the heat. So when you move the lever, it pushes this rod in and out, and that goes into there, which then controls a door that lets the air come past the heater core, so you get heat, or no heater core, you get just regular air, okay? They get bound up. So I'm going to replace all these cables too at the same time, make sure they're all lubricated, all of that kind of stuff. We'll do that later. The other one, here's one for the defroster. So the other end of this cable hooks to the heater control. When you move it, it moves this like this, sends air up to the defroster, or sends it down to the floor, okay? And then the other one is the actual fan, the one on mine that broke. Let's see if I can get it out here. It's right here. Again, just another cable that pulls and pushes and controls the switch. In fact, when I took it off, it broke again. See the end of that pot metal piece? It broke before the little locking star washer did on the back side. So right here. See, and that was me just trying to cut the star washer off, and it broke there. So it was gonna go. Locking star washers are these little piece of crap things that are basically one-time use. They push down on there. You always try to find a way to get them off without destroying them. You're gonna destroy them. You either get a pick like this up under them and pry them loose, or what I've learned too is just use a pair of dikes and just cut them off. Okay, so you'll get new ones with the new kit. So now I know, okay, so I'm gonna order one of these and the new cables, and then we'll install those. And when I get those in, we'll update the video. So my new heater parts came in, and so today's the day I put in the new heater controls. However, these are the little hurdles. The new kits, the new parts did not come with new locking star washers. Remember these little guys? So I'll have to go to the hardware store and get new ones. But I've run up against something that, again, is kind of important. So as I'm replacing these cables, at first, it's like I don't want to replace the cables if they don't need it. And as I'm functioning some of these, they move really easy. But this one down here is kind of stiff, as I just manually operated. There's like a catch, and then it moves fine, and then there's a catch. And so I'm like, okay, I want this to move much freer than this. This is the old cable still in. But I don't know, is it the cable binding up? Or is it, you know, this mechanism in here? Well, the easy way to find out is just take this loose and operate each one independently, right? Well, locking star washer on it. So I got to take it off, which will destroy it. Not a huge deal because I'm going to get new ones. But when you do it, you do not want to break any other part on here. And that's the susceptible part. So if you just go wrenching on this star washer and then you break this arm, well, now you've just opened another can of worms, right? So I'm going to take this star washer off. Set up the camera here and show you how I do this. You see that? Okay. So sometimes they slide right off. I get a little pair of dikes. Get to where I can see it. So I'm getting up on there. And if you try to use needle nose pliers to pull these off, it just ain't gonna work. So get up in there like that. And see, I'm squeezing it. I'm trying to cut that. But I'm also not putting a ton of pressure on this arm because I do not want to break that arm. And yes, it's tedious. Sometimes you get lucky. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it just finally broke the whole thing. So there you go. Took it off. Broken. Now let's see what happens here. Take that off. And then independently, oh, that arm moves easy. Look at that. Boom. So now I know, yeah, it's all in that cable. Yeah, okay. So I'm definitely replacing that cable. I've got new ones anyway. Right here. Cable. And these things brand new. I mean, they work like butter. So I will definitely replace that. Okay, I got that cable installed. It's a new cable. Hooked right here. See that? No push nut on it yet. I'll get new ones. But now, I mean, this just so easy, right? Okay, so perfect. That's exactly what we want. The next one is this one that runs the heater flap door thing in there. This one's a little stiff as I operate it manually. I can't do it with one hand, but you know, as I reach up in here, it's a little stiff, not bad. So what I'm gonna do, and this part makes me nervous, look inside here. See, there's the cable hanging on to that. The star washer's already off, so maybe somebody's already messed with it or whatever. But I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna undo that and see how it operates. Now it makes me a little nervous because there's not a ton of clearance there. I reach my hand in, you know, fiddling with that, you take it off, might be difficult to get back on. In fact, if the star washer was still on there, I would probably leave it. But since it's already off, let's see what happens, because I want to know, is the cable functioning fine and all the binding is happening in the door, or vice versa, or both. Now it's not binding bad at all, but still, if I'm working on it. So let's see what happens. Reach in here, pull that off. Okay, it came right off. Is it still out? There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to try to operate the cable from the other end. There's the other end, and let's see. Can I just do it with one hand? Oh yeah, the cable's, it's pretty free. I mean, that's, yeah. Oh, geez, that's super easy. So I'll pull it out of the way, and now I'm gonna reach in with my finger and try to operate that door. So that's closed. Open. That feels normal too. That's really good. So, you know, this doesn't need anything. So then you say, well, I already bought the cable. Should I just put the new one in while I'm here? I don't know. That's a good question. It looks like, I mean, it'd be easy to take that off. This flapper would have to be, I'd have to rethread that. The other end is easy. Yeah, I might as well put the new one in. I mean, I bought it, right? So, might as well. Okay, now that I have both cables out, the one I just took out, the fan area here, and the brand new one, now when I operate them, I can definitely tell a difference. Brand new is like butter. This one seems fine, but I can definitely tell a difference. Now I could probably shoot some lubricant down in here and get it working really good, really well, but might as well put the new one in. Other than the case of this one is 52 years old, and so even though it's a little stuck, we know it's probably built to a better quality than this guy. So this may work fine now, but who knows, maybe this will fail sooner than this guy. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna install this one, but I'm keeping this one around, lubricating it, ready to go for service in 2 years when this one probably breaks. Okay, and the last cable is the defroster right here. Again, as I operate it, now I may have misspoke earlier in the video about which is which, but this is definitely the defroster. It controls air either going down to your feet or up. Okay, so, and as I operate it, it's pretty free. I don't any massive binding, but just like the others, we want to find out for sure. So I'm going to take that star washer off and see how it operates independently. And man, I hope the hardware store has these. These locking star washers, because I'm going through them. So I cut it once. Get a hold of it here. There we go. See that break right there? Okay. I'm gonna take that off. Okay. Okay. There's a little resistance there, but that doesn't seem bad. This same thing. As I operate them, not bad, but I'll be able to tell here. I put the new one is going to operate much better. So there's the new one, you know. Now it'll be bent. It'll be bent. That restricts a little bit, but yeah, that ain't bad. So, yep, I'm putting the new one in. It's easy enough. It's right here. Let's just do it. 1/4-inch nut driver. Now before I take it off, let me make sure I know what I'm doing here. That goes there. Looks like there's a little adjustment right here in a slot, which is nice. Now the kit came, you know, there's the old screw. The kit came with new screws, but no way am I installing these. These are these cheap, again, cheap ass, I mean, it's a 1/4-inch nut driver, but man, you gotta have it on there like precise. So screw that. I'm using the old one, you know, that's a solid piece right there. So I'm keeping that. Now the only thing I'm noticing here is that the length of the old cable and the new cable. The new one's a lot longer. And see there, and I forgot already. Was it like that? Or was it like that? I think it was like that. I'll have to watch the video and see. Let's try it like this and see what happens. Just gonna go a little bit and then hook this up like that and operate it manually from the other end. this one doesn't have a slot in it like the other one. Okay, how does that work? Yeah, it works. Boy, I can taste right there. There's a little tension that I don't know if I like. But what's the fix for that, you know? I have to tear this thing in, tear into this thing, this box. I think I'll leave it for now because I think that's all right. But once I get the levers installed, if that's too much, then yeah, we'll see. Dang it, that's the last thing. All the others work fine, but if anything, I may have to take this box apart and diagnose what's going on in there, but I'll try it for now. Okay, so I got the other end of the cables all done. Now it's time to put in my new controller, which is awesome. The first thing I could notice a mistake I would make is this, because it's been weeks since I took the old one out, is going like this. Okay, so here's one of the cables, having it come out here, putting it on there and screwing it in and being like, boom, done, and do that with all of them. But then guess what? That's not how this goes in from this direction. It's got to come in from the back side. So if you've connected them out here where it's nice and convenient, guess what? You're taking it all apart again to fish it in, because this thing has actually got to come from the other end, you know, and in here like this. That's how it mounts in there. So when you hook the cables up, you know, you see what I'm saying? Don't do it through there. Do it through here like that. More of a pain, but you got to do it right. Do it that way to do it right. And then, of course, we'll plug in our electric control switch here. So the next thing is to test run these first before you get them all installed and mounted. For example, I've hooked up the defroster cable first, mounted it in there, but guess what? So it's this top one. It moves that way fine, operates the door perfectly. Oh wait, I hooked that up to the wrong. I hooked it up wrong. Wrong one. Well, that's good, because anyway, I'll disconnect this and put it on the correct one, but you still want to, like in this case, see, I can't, if I go to move that all the way to the left, it won't, because it's bottomed out here. And so in that case, I would have to loosen this up and adjust this outer sheath the right distance. Now, since I hooked it up the wrong one, that's fine. Maybe when I hook it up to the correct one, it'll work. Let's see. Get off of there. Oh, the new one I bought, by the way, these are not tapped, but the screws are self-tapping. But you should just know that you got to put some oomph into it. Oh, and these are not tapped. And the screws are not self-tapping. So luckily I discovered that, because I thought it was the wrong size. So you run a tap in there to tap those. Okay, so I am looking for the defroster, which is this one. Okay, that's the one I should have hooked up right there. Like that. Okay, so let me put that in. Okay, it's tight. Put that on there. Okay, now let's see if this is correct. It's open. So So that's going to send air to the defroster, and that's closed. Oh, it came off because I haven't got new star washers yet, but okay, so that's closed. Open. I'm just kind of seeing if it operates, it binds up, how much force it takes, and that seems pretty easy to me. I will want to see if the defroster's off, right? That means heat should be going to the floor. Shoot. Did it operate the lever arm? Let's try it again. Okay, so that's closed. What I want to know is, this is closed. Did that push that as far as it should have? Okay, so let's see. If it's like that. Yeah, see? That's closed. You know, yeah. See, it didn't close it all the way. Okay, so we may adjust it, but let's wait. We'll go all the way to open. Is that as open as we want it? Let's see here. I think so. Yeah. Okay. That's all the way open, so it keeps coming off. So that's the question here. Do you want it all the way open or all the way closed? Is it critical? So you know what I'm saying? If this is all the way closed, but this doesn't all the way, you're still going to get a little bit of airflow up to your defroster. Is that the end of the world? I don't know. We'll see. If I leave it this way, and I have to make an adjustment in the future, when it's installed, I could probably do it right there. Although that's maxed out this way. Well, so is that one. So, okay. Well, so I'm going to continue on. I'm not going to make any adjustments here. But I'll test the other ones as I hook them up to see, you know, if I can make adjustments. In other words, screw this and move that sheath. Okay, so look what I discovered here. I'm gonna have to make some modifications. This cable is for the heat lever, so the bottom one. Okay, so in other words, when it's like that, the heat should be off, the door closed. As we turn it around, it's this cable. If I mount that cable like that, wait, like that, there's a couple things wrong. First off, look, the sheath isn't even short enough, you know, so that right there is the first thing. And I've triple checked all the cables to make sure I installed the right cable in the right location. And so now that means I'm going to have to make an adjustment here. I'm going to have to separate this, and first off, just slide it down here so that it's accurate. But the other thing is, and this isn't as big a deal, but notice that this is like a D shape right here. That should sit down into, like let's say it mounted here. It should sit down into there like that. And it would be more flush instead of like that, okay? So this is installed incorrectly, lengthwise and position-wise. Shouldn't be a big deal, but let's see. I'm not sure how easy these are going to be to separate. We're going to find out together if these are like massively crimped, or can I get in there and separate that? Okay, I think that's okay. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take it clear off, flip it around, back on. There we go. And I'm just going to crimp it by hand first and eyeball it. And then see. Okay, so if the heat's off, and let's hook it on there first and see what happens here. Okay, see that? See what I mean? That sits in there. That's the way it's supposed to be. And if I push that all the way in, now it's sitting where it's supposed to be there. And let's just operate it here. And at the same time, I'm looking, where am I looking here? Off camera, I'm looking in the firewall here to see how it operates the door. And it's not operating the door because the other end of this has come off. Remember, there's no star washer on that, so okay. So I've connected the door back on. If this is like this, let's see if I can do this. That's on there, clamped on there. Shut the door all the way, and then open it. Oh, well, I can't operate it by hand yet because I gotta put this screw in. So let's just put it in. And you hope you got it right the first time. We'll see. Oh yeah, and remember these aren't tapped. So I can't just finger tighten it here. I gotta give it some stank here. I don't want to get too close. Is this a riveting video? Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's clamped on there. Now let's see what happens when okay, it goes free. Why? Because I can tell the washer came off the other end. Off camera here, I'm gonna do this. Okay, it's back on the door. Oh, it came off this end. God. Well, and I can't put a star washer because they're one-time use, and I may have to take this off and on. No, I guess it'd be okay now. If I had to make adjustments. So when I get my new star washers, I've got an old one here that I think didn't break. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's like the one good star washer I have. I just put on there. Now, let's see what happens here. I'm not gonna put a ton of pressure on here at all. All right, and then again, I'm gonna keep fixing. What I'm doing is over here. Remember in that dark hole, that cable keeps coming off. So I will fix that again off camera, so I can hold it. Okay, it's on. I'm gonna slowly operate it. Okay, is that closed all the way? Okay, so I got my locking star speed washer things from the hardware store to reassemble. And the hardest one by far to attach is in there, because you can't reach in there with your fingers and push hard enough. So I devised a plan. I hope this saves somebody a hassle. I took a 5/16 end wrench, used the box end, put a couple strips of tape on it with the tape facing out so it's sticky. Take this locking star washer speed thingy like that, and now you can at least hang on to it and stick it in there. And I'm not going to do it because I want to drop it, but stick that in there and then support it, you know, push down, but also with your other finger support that arm that it's going down onto. That way you don't push so hard that you just break the arm off, and it's snapped right on. So hardest one done. Now I can snap these others in really easy. Okay. I am done. Took a few days of having to start and stop, order parts, get time off work, all that kind of stuff, but I am done with this project. Came out fine. My biggest advice is to label your cables. When you start taking this apart, put a piece of tape and label where they go so that you know, especially if you have to wait in between. Watch after this film for bloopers or whatever of me getting pissed because I didn't do that. But this all works just fine. For posterity, the defroster is this front one. The air fan is that lower one down there. See it? And then the heat is the one that goes to that door flapper over there. You won't be able to see anything, but it goes to there. So label your cables, and then there's also a light that I got functioning in here. You know, plug that in. But yeah, it all works good. On to the next project. So the lesson here is label your shit when you take it apart. You save yourself a lot of hassle. So I've just shot an hour. I could have been doing something else. You know what would have solved all of this? Is when I took it apart, just label the damn cables, the old ones. Just put some labels on there. I didn't. I remember thinking I should have, but I thought, I'll be able to figure it out. It's easy. This goes to here, this goes to there, defrost, whatever. So I could be wrong. We'll see.